so often when we find ourselves in those storms, we think that peace comes if God gets us out of it.
Exactly.
So the prayer is just like, God, get me out of this storm. God, get me out of this storm. And God's like, no, the peace is going to come when you get through the storm, not out of it.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Christ Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Calvin.
I am Erica.
And I'm Robert.
And we are back for episode 2 of season 4, where we are tackling all of the emotions. If you didn't see the episode last week, go check it out. That one was about anger. That was a great episode. Yeah. And today we have a good one for you. We're going to talk about peace.
All the forms of peace.
Yeah.
Being a peacemaker, peacekeeper. Like, we're going to dive into everything.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into the topic, I always like to just do a little check-in, see how everybody's week went. What happened this week? Anything good? Anything you want to report?
He does.
Uh-oh. Put you on the spot, Rob.
All right, man. Yeah, I got a little bit of a testimony.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty much I drive a little old beater, you know, just some cool stuff. But I was actually doing some Instacart. And right after I picked up an order, I had my tire blow out on me.
Wow.
So full background, you know, when you broke and you try and make some money and then something happens to stop that money from coming, you know, you start to stress out.
Yeah.
So in the moment of my tire blowing out, like I just hear this loud, like, pow. And so I just immediately, like subconsciously just start praying because I'm like, oh man, I can't handle this right now. Like, me getting through this and my strength is not happening. So Lord, I need you right now. And so long story short, I'm sitting there, I'm trying to figure out what my next move is. Like, am I about to have to tow my car? And like, what am I going to have to do? And I just got this like sudden urge to just like, you know, I know your tire is flat completely right now, but I need you to drive a little bit and I got you. And so I end up going on my maps and look up like the closest tire shop, and there's an NTB that's like 1.5 miles away. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I drive like 5 miles per hour the whole time I'm driving. It's just loud, like it's just crazy noises happening. And I call the NTB on the way over there, and like as I'm trying to explain that I just had a tire blowout, I'm right by y'all. I just need to come in. I'm trying to tell him my car and everything. It just like cut me off completely. Like, no, I got you. Come in. Now, mind you, this is like 30 minutes before they close. Yeah. So for me to pull up in between that time, like, yeah, it was already some things at work right there. And so I get there and I'm panicking because I ain't got no money. I can't afford to fix this. I don't know what's about to happen. They pull in my car, realize that they don't have the tire for like my size. They got like a couple different options in terms of tires, and the cheapest one they did not have. But he ends up charging me for the cheapest one and puts a different tire on my car.
Wow.
Along with that, their labor price is $165 an hour.
Wow.
That's crazy.
He charged me $20 for labor.
Wow.
Then after that, also, he worked some type of magic because the tire itself was $80. Somehow, my finishing tab was $86. And I was supposed to be paying $20 for labor, this, that, and the third. None of that was there. It was tire, tax, like nothing else. And so he tells me like, yeah, man, if anything happens, if you feel the car start like drifting or anything like that, pulling to the side, referencing an alignment. Like if I need an alignment or anything, like bring it back. He'll take care of me. Don't worry about paying for it. And so I'm sitting there like just in such relief.
Yeah.
And like he could tell how stressed out I was.
Yeah.
And he was like, listen, man, I just need one favor from you. I'm thinking he's going to ask for like a review or something like that. And he's like, just go enjoy the rest of your night.
What?
So, like I said, I was doing Instacart in that. And so basically I have to go return the items that I had because this whole Instacart order is in my car.
Oh, yeah.
This whole time this is happening, the Instacart order is in my car. And so on Instacart, And with Wegmans, I don't know which one's which, but somebody's not allowing me to return the cold items. Now, mind you, I'm broke. I don't know where exactly my next meals are coming from and everything like that. So, long story short, I end up in a situation where now my car is handled. I'm good there. I'm also going home with a bunch of groceries.
Yeah.
And I just had all these different things to happen. And it all started with a feeling like the reason my tire blew out is because a car was about to hit me that I did not see.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not see that vehicle coming towards me. I don't know where it came from. No, nothing. The only thing I knew is I had a feeling that told me literally turn my head around because there's a car about to hit me that I can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to completely turn my head, realize I'm about to get hit, swerve. And then when I swerved, the edge of my wheel like went off of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so they like just repaved it. So there's like hard gravel on the edge of the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's what popped the tire.
Wow.
So in every situation, like literally every step of this situation, there could have been so much worse to happen. I thought I was going to have to replace a tire. I mean, maybe my fender's all messed up, this, that, and the third. No, just a tire. We're going to get it fixed. Everything's going to be okay. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to send you home with some food too.
Yeah.
Like all I could say is thank God.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That's so crazy. I was literally before we started shooting earlier, I was listening to a message by Stephen Furtick. And he was talking about ripple effects.
Mm-hmm.
And he was literally talking about how one thing causes the next thing causes the next thing.
Yeah.
And the first thing was God in the first place.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's just like confirmation of that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, I mean, by the end of it, I was sitting out. She was there with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting out in the Wegmans parking lot. Like, I just needed to take a minute and stop.
For real.
Like, this is so apparent.
Mm-hmm.
It's so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, okay, let me go search for reasons why this happened. It's like, no. The Lord told me straight up, like, hey,
Yeah.
I got you.
you worry about all these things, and guess what?
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen.
Yep.
I'm not saying nothing's gonna happen. This thing is gonna happen, but it's not gonna be what you think it is. It's not gonna be anywhere near as bad as what you think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And in that, you also have these other problems that are about to get taken care of as well. So go ahead and go through your little hard time that I'm about to put you through because I'm doing this to lead you somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was stuck.
That's so amazing, man. That there's a book called God Winks, and it just talks about little moments like that. Like some people hearing that, they won't think much of it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so some people, that's just a story about your tire going out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking, you can see God in anything.
Absolutely.
So it's just amazing that, like, to hear you getting to a place in your life where you can identify God in all those moments it's beautiful. It's like, I love hearing stuff like that.
It's something, honestly, man, I'm just thankful for it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah.
Like that was not my actions. That was not anything. I mean, dude, I was sitting there panicking and like for some reason this strong urge of like, no, you're gonna be okay. Drive the car.
Yeah.
You can't tow the car. So go ahead. I got you. You're gonna be fine. Go drive. Get to the shop. And from there, I'm gonna take care of everything. But I need you to get to this shop. And then from there, everything was taken care of in like the best way it could have possibly been.
When the Holy Spirit leads you.
For real. God is sovereign, and sometimes in those moments it's easy for us to forget that he's bigger than all our problems.
Absolutely.
And then he fixes something, you're like, oh yeah, like that
I
was
forgot.
absolutely nothing to you.
Why was I freaking out in the first place?
Yeah. Like, yeah, that reminds me, like, my story is nowhere near like as amazing as yours, but a few weeks ago, and I started coaching flag football for the season. There was a day, and me and my fiance, she always goes to the games with me. And there was a morning where there was like several things I had to do before the game, right? I had to go pick up the snacks for the kids. I needed to get the little wristbands printed out.
Orange juice slice, the orange slices and the Gatorades.
No, they get junk. They get chips and.
The times have changed. We had them orange slices and the Ziploc bags.
Yeah. But I had to get some snacks. I had to get like the wristbands. I had to go get them printed out to put the plays in
Yeah,
there
the play
for 'em.
cards.
Yeah, and I hadn't eaten, so I needed food. So me and my fiance actually were going to a restaurant that morning, but we went there and we didn't like what was on the menu. So we were like, okay, well, let's just not spend money here. Let's just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we were running out of time. We had to get to my game, and literally we ran out of time. We were on the way, and I'm like, I don't have time to do any of these things. Like the kids are there waiting for me.
Yeah.
I only have like 10 minutes to get there. So I put in the GPS from where we were to the field, and I just started driving. I'm like, I'm just going to have to figure it out with the plays for today. Like I'll have to tell them we'll have snacks next week. Like I had decided in my mind I wasn't going to be able to do any of those things because I was running out of time. And she was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I don't know if there's anywhere between here and there, but I'm just going to drive to the field.
Yeah.
So we start approaching the field, and literally like 0.5 miles from the field in the direction we were coming from, and I never come from that direction.
Okay.
There was a shopping center there that had a grocery store.
Yeah.
It had a place to print stuff out, and and it had a McDonald's for us to get something to eat.
Oh wow.
And like I pulled in, and I was like, oh, I can go there. Oh, I can go there. And it wasn't until like the next day I was literally laying in my bed like, oh my God.
It just all hits you all at once.
Yeah, I was like, he literally put all that in the same shopping center. And it just like, what I was thinking about was like, God, did you have me in mind when they were building that I would need this for that day?
Yeah.
Like, were you thinking about me that hard?
Exactly.
That's
and
good.
It just reminds me like the scripture about, like, what does it say? Like, who am I that God loves me, or who's man that God loves us, or whatever. Yeah. So to hear that story, like, I'm happy for you. Like, that makes me happy that you experienced that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all God's glory, you know.
Seriously, that just makes me think about like through everything that we go through, God does keep us in mind. Like from when he first died on the cross, he had us in mind.
Yes.
Just us specifically.
Yeah.
So like when we're going through all of those things, he's like, okay, I've planned out every single thing according to just your timeline individually.
Yeah.
That is so crazy to me.
It is. He cares about the small stuff. He cares
Just
about the
a little
small stuff.
detail.
I mean, even the mess of trying to figure out where y'all were gonna go, you end up going a whole different direction that you never go. You don't know that any of this is here. You're not looking on GPS to see if it is there. There's no coincidence in that.
Happens.
Nothing. And all three of the things got solved, all in the same
at
parking
once.
lot.
Exactly.
Like,
Bruh.
you know, again, some people hear that and they're like, it's just a shopping center. But
That's a coincidence.
No,
No,
to
it's
me,
not.
it's like,
No,
no,
nothing
that was
is coincidental.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
Y'all ready to get into peace?
Let's
Or what?
do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
That can go along with peace, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can. It gives you a peace to know that God is sovereign. It gives
does.
It gives you a certain, I say that to my fiance all the time. Sometimes she gets irritated with me because it's like something could be going wrong and I'm like, God is sovereign. Like,
yeah.
But when you just really think about it, like he has his hand over everything.
Yeah.
There is nothing that you can come up with, no situation you can be in that he can't intervene and help you out. And that provides you a peace, doesn't it?
Crazy peace. Like, even if you're going, like for me specifically, if you're going through such a hard time where you need God's peace and God's comfort, knowing that he's going to still give you rest at night or everything, as long as you stay on your word and you make this like something that you are going to put your faith in, he's going to make sure that you are covered. You're going to have peace that's surpasses all understanding.
Yeah.
And then when people are asking you, why are you not losing your mind? I would freak out if this was happening. You don't understand the amount of peace I have because I've seen God's hand work once. And what makes you think he's going to stop now?
Yeah.
Like, it's a crazy peace. Like when people have crazy faith, this is a crazy type of peace.
Yeah. How do you like keep that peace though? Because there's some situations in your life that are just so crazy.
Man.
It is hard. Like I used to hear the older folks in church always say, God is a mind regulator. He kept my mind. I was like, what are they talking about? But like as I get older, I
Then
understand.
you start to understand it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he kept my like some of the things I went through, and I think about like why did I not go insane and flip out on everybody?
Mhm.
It was like, no, because God kept you. He gave you a peace.
People really don't be realizing that. I made a video before, and I was talking about how I was going through such like a really, really hard time, and I was not understanding, how did I not lose my mind? First, how am I still here? And then as I start looking back over, the only way that you can start to understand different things if you look back over your life backwards.
Yeah.
You can't understand anything going forward. So when you start to backtrack and look back over different things, you realize the whole time God is keeping your mind. He was always keeping you in peace. You're not going to lose your mind. You're not going to go crazy. People think, okay, if this loved one dies, that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's not. You're going to think it is in that moment. But then watch, 3 years later, you're still here because God has kept you.
Yeah.
And he already said he's going to keep you no matter what. If you just stay focused on him, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Would you describe yourself as peacekeepers? Like, do you find yourself in situations like maybe with family or friends where you're always the one that's just trying to keep the peace?
I think that's more my brother.
Your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more my brother. For me, I can be hard-headed. Very hard-headed. Like, I like order. Yeah. But he does it in more of a better way than I can do things. But I would definitely say I'm a I'm trying to figure out the difference. Peacemaker, peacekeeper. I would definitely say that I'm a keeper.
Okay.
Or is it a peacemaker?
Peacekeeper.
Yeah, peacekeeper.
You keep the peace.
Yeah.
You try to keep things copacetic. Not letting things get too overblown.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be a peacekeeper.
Why?
Because that means, just in my opinion, that's like you can sweep things underneath the rug because you don't want things to hit the fan.
Yeah.
But when you're a peacemaker, you want to set things straight. And it's okay. You might ruffle a couple feathers. People might get like a little bit upset at you and stuff. But that thing is being resolved. You're not just brushing it under the rug. You're taking care of it. I would rather be a peacemaker.
A peacemaker.
Yeah.
I don't know that
That's hard.
I'm not going to say I'm not a peacemaker. I'm not a person who looks for confrontation.
Yeah.
But I am a person who has absolutely no issue with confrontation.
Okay.
Like, if there's something that needs to be said, addressed, or done, or you have an issue, or there's something, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's go at it right now. Like, I don't want to wait. I don't want to sit around. I don't want people talking behind back. No, let's just sit down and figure it out right now. I like to go at things head on.
Right.
So in that regard, I don't know if I'm always looking for the peaceful route. I'm just looking for the route that gets the solution.
Yeah.
Wherever that may lead. What about you, Rob?
I'd say something pretty similar to what you said. I would definitely like to say I'm a peacemaker, but at the same time, I also know that like I don't love confrontation, and it's not just about the confrontation. It's about what comes after and how uncomfortable that makes me, not knowing. And so therefore, there's a lot of times where I'll tend to either bite my tongue or not say what needs to be said for the sake of holding peace, rather than trying to like create a peace that is long sustaining. And so it's something that I like have a little bit of a hard time with, because it's like, okay, rather than looking for what's going to help right now, what makes sure this problem doesn't keep coming back? What makes sure that this isn't something that is always going to need to be talked about? And so something that I know personally is like, I need to find more comfort in doing so, because I'll try to, I guess in a way, like protect everyone's feelings. And so my thought process before that conversation happens will be more in a sense of like, okay, well, how are you going to react to that? will that bother you if I say that? And if these things aren't met with, no, it'll be fine, then I'm going to bite my tongue on that. And then that doesn't create actual peace. It's just maintaining for the sake of not having that confrontation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you think about the word peace, what does that mean for you? Like specifically for you, what is peace?
I would say for me, peace is something that's like, peace is a status. And that's a status of a clear mind. It's a status that's free of worry, free of stress. And I think more importantly than anything, if you're at peace, I feel like being in peace creates the most optimism that you can get, because you don't have other things clear, like clouding your judgment. You don't have other things that you're sitting on heavy, and it's changing the way that you act and the way that you make decisions. And so like having that optimism and peace is like, it's a very high priority. It's something that I want, everyone wants, but how do you actually get there? What are the actions that you need to take to actually get that?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I have a hard time personally, because it's like, yeah, I know what I want, but at the end of the day, I have too much going on through my head to let me get there fully.
Yeah. I feel that.
I get that. Peace to me is a deep rooted, I don't even want to say feeling, but it's a deep rooted sensation that you can have that is unexplainable. Now, I understand like people would define peace in so many different ways. You want peace, but do you want worldly peace or do you want biblical peace? And when you're craving worldly peace, that's only I'll be able to just sleep at night. But the problem is never really rectified, whatever it is. But when you want biblical peace, it's a peace that basically people would look at you and be like, you don't have a care in the world about anything. So to me, it's like a deep rooted sensation that you can have that only is explained through Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I was looking for the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get better at remembering like where scriptures are.
Man, me too.
But there's a scripture, I know Paul wrote it. I don't remember who he was writing to specifically. But the essence of what he was saying was basically that I've learned in every situation to be content. No matter if it's up or it's down, no matter what's happening, I've learned to be content.
Yeah.
For me, that's what peace has been for me. When I find myself in places in life where I'm content with whatever the outcome is for any given situation.
Yeah.
I'm not pressed or looking for one thing to happen or allowing my anxiety to overtake me or fears to overtake me or anything in regards to what I'm going through.
Yeah.
That I have contentment in God that just says, I'm in this situation and whatever happens.
You got me.
Yeah, I used to say all the time, like, somebody would be like, you shouldn't do that. Why are you going to do that? Like, something might happen. And I'm like, if I perish, I perish. I used to say that. And it's just like, that's when I've been most content in my life, where it's like, I wasn't wanting or needing any one outcome to happen. I was okay with whatever it is because I knew God was going to be with me.
That reminds me of the 3 Hebrew boys.
Yeah.
It really does. I don't know why. But even with that, they had a peace. Even though like they were thrown into the fire and they were basically being given an ultimatum. If you don't bow, then we're going to basically kill you.
Yeah.
Burn you. But they're like, okay, well, go ahead. We're still not going to bow.
Yeah.
And they already knew they had such a contentment and such a peace that God was still going to come through for them.
Yeah.
Even if God didn't do anything.
He's done enough.
He's already done enough. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm good. I'm content with whatever happens. They had such a unshakable peace about them.
But that poses the question, how do you achieve that? So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But my life is in turmoil right now. Like, how do I get to that point?
Yeah.
What would you guys say to that?
For me, You can look at all of your circumstances taking place in front of you. You can look at it as like a dinner table. You have your food in front of you, but you always have to keep your vision focused beyond the mess that is in front of you. Keep your focus on what is to come after that. Always keep your optimism. Don't let your mind start like running rampant about, okay, what if this happens? Or I don't think I can achieve this. You have to keep your focus. You have a goal. Never lose sight on what your goal is. No matter what the situation is. If you don't have money, you keep your goal. Do not settle for anything. Keep your goal. You keep your mind focused. But if you don't have a relationship with Christ, I would recommend strongly getting a relationship with Christ, because if you do it in your own strength, I promise you, you will fail. So you must have Christ, but keep your eyes focused no matter what the situation is. That's what I would say.
I think for me, I'd be lying if I sat here and said I know.
I think all of us would.
Yeah, honestly.
if I said like, oh yeah, this is how you do it, step by step, because this is honestly, it's an answer I'm still searching for. It's something that like, hey, I've learned these things and I understand, but I still struggle with, okay, but how do I put that into action? And so I understand I should be praying. I understand that I need to be in the Word. I understand that the closer, or for the way for me to get closer to God is to study His Word further. I do understand all that. And so when something arises, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out, okay, in that moment, yeah, study, pray, but what after that? Yes, I've done those things, but now this emotion is still inside of me. That didn't go away. And so how do I keep myself level-headed in that? And it's tough.
It is.
It absolutely is. And it kind of gets to like I guess like repeating the message in the sense of like, okay, but I'm reading this, but am I like fully believing in it?
That's really is the main thing. Do you really believe what you're reading?
Right.
But at the same time, is that if you're going through like a bad experience, everybody will end up having some type of anxiety dealing with the situation. You're still going to be felt with those feelings. Even if you do pray, you still might have those things. But you don't move. So it's a thing of, okay, I'm feeling like anxiety. I'm feeling like, okay, I have to go do something. I don't know what to do. Stay still. And in that time, if you're saying that you're committed to Christ, whatever the situation is, stay still and just shut up and just listen to God's voice. And then in that time, you'll get the answer without you even realizing it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I would just say. Like if somebody is seeking like, okay, how do I deal with this feeling or something like that? Don't move. Just sit down. Literally, if you have to like lay on the floor, lay on the floor. Just don't move until you get an answer or until you're completely just calm. Sit there. How would you deal with it?
That's to what you just said. That's real, because wisdom is proven by its result. So a lot of the times when you think you've gotten an answer about something, you won't actually know until whatever it is happens. You won't know if it was right or wrong. Like it's not going to be a moment where you're like, okay, that's the right answer. Like, that moment is never going to arrive. But if I had anything to say to somebody like trying to find peace, I would simply say two things. Number one, the first sermon I ever preached, you were there. It was called "Let Me Find Out." Like the only way, guys. It was okay. The only way that you can actually find that peace in God is you have to have an encounter for yourself. You can't look to other people to tell you how to do it.
Exactly.
Because all of our situations are different. How I got it is not how you're going to get it. So you have to seek God and tell Him that you're ready to have an encounter with Him, to experience Him. To experience Him in whatever way He has for you to experience Him. So that would be the first thing that I would say. The second thing is more practical. It's something that I always do for myself. And that's when I find that anxiety coming up or I find those unpeaceful moments happening. The first thing that I always do is I always ask myself, what's the worst case scenario in this situation?
I can't do that.
The worst case scenario, let's say, I don't even know, just some situation, and I'll say, okay, that's the worst case scenario. That's the worst thing that I can think of happening right now.
Mhm.
And then I ask myself a follow-up question. Do you think God would not be with you in that moment?
Mhm.
That's good.
And the answer is always, yeah, he can be there with me just like he is right now.
Yeah.
So then that brings a peace over me that says, even if the worst thing happens right
He's
now,
still with you,
God is still going to be
no
with
matter
me.
what.
So I don't need to sit here in my worry trying to control the situation,
Mhm.
because regardless of where the situation goes, God is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I only developed that because after you go through so many things and you look back on them, like you were talking about, and then
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
realize, oh, God was
God
there.
was with me the whole
He was there
time.
at every step. So then you kind of just develop a peace like, hey, regardless of where this goes,
My dad
God
is
will
with
still
me.
be there.
Yeah.
So it'll work out. I'll be
Yeah.
okay.
No, that's great. I never really like even considered thinking about it like that. Because like when you said like the first thing you do is think of the worst case scenario. I can't handle doing that. I'll fully start to panic. I'll start to stress out, because then it's like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Oh, but wait, that's like really possible. Hold on, like I need to slow down. I can't do that. But to like think about it in a way to say, okay, but even if that does happen, God's gonna be with me.
Yep.
That's not the end of the world of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Here's the hard question.
Okay.
Would you say that you are at peace right now in your life?
Ah,
You
it's
want
what
me to
to me.
answer?
Why'd
Y'all want me to answer?
Why'd y'all both look at each other like,
Wait, hold on. Calvin, you answer that question first.
you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Answer
Would
the
I say
question
I'm
first.
at peace? I'm gonna give the cop out answer here.
Okay.
People won't like this answer, but I'm gonna say in certain areas I am, and
Yeah.
in certain areas I'm not.
Okay.
Like there are some areas where, in contrast to where I used to be,
Mm-hmm.
I feel very at peace now.
Okay, yeah.
But there are some other areas where I'm like, why do I still feel so much anxiety about that? So much worry about that. Like,
Yeah.
I know that that's likely not going to happen. I know that's not going to likely be a thing, but why am I still so, my mind is still so caught up on it, and I'm not at peace about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are definitely some areas in my life where I don't feel completely at peace right now.
I get that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would definitely say for me, same.
Mm-hmm.
There is some areas that I am at peace with.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's some areas that when new situation arises, I don't know what to do. I don't have peace with it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is different areas that I would say that I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stressing me, it's not worrying me or anything like that. The other thing that it made me think about was the areas that I don't have peace in are the areas that we don't give God control. So the only reason that we may not have peace in those areas is we're not allowing God into that situation. We still think that we can handle whatever it is.
That's good.
So I would say I have to continue to give God control in other areas that even new situation comes up, automatically just give it to him. Like, this is your ticket. Dad, you got that. This is beyond me. It's above my pay grade. So I would look at it like that.
That hits hard though, because even when I think about some of the areas in my life right now where I don't necessarily have peace, it's like, have you actually given that to God?
Yeah.
The answer's like, no, I haven't.
Exactly.
Still trying to control aspects of it myself and doing it in my own strength, and never gonna have peace doing that. Like,
right.
Yeah. What about you, Ro?
I think, not to cop out and like copy the answer.
I think we all have the same answer here.
I think for me, the biggest thing about it is, to be honest, no. But I am learning how to find it. Yeah. And so the reason why I say no is because in the moment, in the heat of whatever is going on, no, I don't have peace. I can't see it for what it is. I'm still trying to figure out how to decipher the things that come at me and where they come from and why those things are happening. But I have gotten to a point of actually being able to like step back, look back at it, and then recognize what these things are and understand that, like, no, I'm not going to be in control of everything.
Yeah.
There's a huge discomfort for me in accepting the fact that I'm not in control.
Yeah.
And so like this walk for me, in a lot of ways, the biggest part of it has been realizing that I am not in control. And even in the situations that I do believe I'm in control, I'm not really. It's just that was part of God's plan to let me feel that control a little bit. And so I pumped myself up. I started to really think that I was in control. I started to really believe that I had to say so. And at the end of the day, just because this thing worked out for me and I thought I came to this decision, that is not what happened. And so I need to do a better job of recognizing in the moment that that's the case, because it's so easy to, oh, this didn't go right. What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? But everything is happening for a reason. There's nothing there's nothing that happens in coincidence. There's nothing that happens for no reason at all.
Right.
There, like, God is very punctual.
Yeah.
Everything is calculated, everything is orchestrated. And so in that way, you have to find comfort with both the highs and lows of that,
Yeah.
because you're going to have blessings that come. And her mom literally told me today something that like really hit hard, was like, when you look for blessings, you're thinking of peace, you're thinking of like these great things, but there are blessings that are going to come in hard times. There are blessings that are going to come that take that trial to get through. And so trying to find the comfort in that is the biggest part.
Yeah.
So that makes me have a question for y'all.
uh
So in the times where you may be experiencing like a really low time, how do you find that peace?
in the midst of a low time.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Like when everything is just in shambles, like turmoil. How did you find peace?
honestly, the true raw answer is sometimes I didn't.
I get that.
Sometimes in those moments I didn't find a peace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never got relief from it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until it was over that I could have a retroactive peace. I hope that's the right word.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, like I could look back at it and be at peace with what happened to me.
I like
Yeah.
that.
But
yeah.
I wasn't at peace while it was
with the
happening.
situation.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was saying. Like
Yeah.
that's so
definitely-
hard.
Yeah.
That makes me think of like I forget who it was. It was in the Bible, and my brother probably knows. The person that has a thorn in their flesh. I forget his name. You know what I'm talking about?
A thorn in their flesh.
They had a thorn in their flesh, and they were praying like, God, take away this thorn, like take away this thing that I'm going through. And God was like, no, I'm not gonna take it away,
Yeah.
but my grace is sufficient for you.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna carry you through the storm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of that.
Yeah. That's like a big thing, especially with peace, because so often when we find ourselves in those storms, we think that peace comes if God gets us out of it.
Exactly.
So the prayer is just like, God, get me out of this
Get me
storm.
out of
Yeah.
this.
God,
Yeah.
get me out of this storm. And God's like, no, the peace is going to come when you get
When you're-
through the storm,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
not out of it.
Yeah.
He's like, if I take you out right now, you're going to be in an even worse state than if I let you
Basically,
go
yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was buffaloes. I don't know where I heard this from before, but it's a weird thing that buffaloes, when a storm comes, while like cows, they'll actually run away from the storm, which makes them stay in the storm longer because they can't outrun it. They're not
Yeah.
fast enough. But
I can just see that in my head.
They try to run through.
buffaloes run towards the storm.
Yeah, to get through it.
Because then they get through it faster.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like such a valuable lesson that God left for us in nature. Like
Mm-hmm.
the answer is not always to try to outrun or get out of the storm. Sometimes if you just go through it, you're going to get on the other side of it way quicker.
That really reminds me of something that my mom just told me. So the midst of like her going through everything that she's going through, she told me, because it does bring me like some type of anxiety with it. She told me, okay, no matter what is being said, you take the bull by its horns and you look at it dead in its eyes and you command it where it's going to go. So you're going to get through it. You're going to command.
Mm-hmm.
I'm decreeing that I'm going to get through this thing. No
Yeah.
matter what the situation is, I'm going through this storm, but I'm going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So turning the situation around.
Wow. That's
Okay.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about like every situation that's going on right now. Like
Right.
just taking it head on. Like, hey,
It's
I'm gonna
hard.
tell you what's gonna happen
Yeah.
instead of allowing things to happen
to you.
Yeah.
Command it. No, I see the storm I'm going through, but I'm commanding my storm. You have to come to its end.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through this thing no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really just gearing up for war, basically. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What does anybody care to share a specific area of their life that they're not at peace with right now?
I would say
I can too, but
yeah.
I just want to know.
Yeah. I can. I would say situation like dealing with my dad and stuff, like that's a whole nother thing. But dealing with him, it's like I have to be at peace with what God tells you, even if it's the hardest decision for you to ever make. Realistically, if the Lord told anybody, you can no longer be in communion with one of your parents.
Yeah.
That is the hardest thing that somebody could ever hear. How do you do that, first of all? So I would say that for me is like the most hardest thing to like navigate through. How do you do that? Like the last time I spoke to my dad was Thursday. Yeah. And then just even though it's been like 3 days, that's so unsettling. And it's like, okay, the grips of like manipulation and everything like that, it's being broken, but at the same time, it's unsettling because that's being broken off of me. Wow. So I'm developing peace in the middle of a storm. Yeah. That's how I would really explain it. What about y'all?
I can go. If there's one area like right now, I would just say financially. I don't have peace about where I am. That too. Like, and let me just be like very straight. Like I make good money. I have a good job. I've been at this job for like 7 years. So like I'm very blessed. So I don't want to seem like ungrateful for what God has blessed me with. There's just, especially as a man, when you begin to take on other responsibilities in not just for yourself, you have a place in your mind that you want to get to.
Yeah.
And every year and every moment that goes by that you're not there, it's just very unsettling. And you hear that ticking in your head and you're like, I got to get there. Yeah. And it's just like this constant just trying all the time to get there. And it's like the harder I try to get there, the further away I seem. Yeah. So if there's one area of my life where there's not peace, it's that. And really the peace comes from just like, there are so many different avenues that I could possibly take to get there. And it's like, I don't know which one I want to take. I don't know which one to take. I don't know which one's right, which one's wrong, which one's actually going to work, which one's not. Yeah. So it's just very unsettling. And it's just like, I just know that I want to get there, but I don't know exactly how. Yeah. And sometimes when I feel like, okay, let go and let God, I feel like time's just going by and I'm like, I should be doing something. Like something should be happening for me to get to those goals. And yeah. So there's that's one area where I'm not experiencing a lot of peace right now. Yeah.
I definitely can relate to that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, he has a very similar answer to what I was gonna say. Yeah. Not just financially, but like just feeling like there's a lack of direction right now. In a sense of like there's so much I'm trying to figure out. There's so much in my life just in the last few months that has like completely changed. And so not only like, okay, what am I doing professionally, but also like who are the people that I'm around? What is the dynamic within my family like? Who are these people that are like stepping up and playing big roles in my life now that weren't even there before? And so there's a piece with some of it, but then not knowing the answers of what's next to come. Not knowing when you were saying like, okay, I'm gonna let go and let God. Okay, but like how do I find the peace of feeling like I'm sitting stagnant in doing so?
Yeah.
How do I confront the fact that me doing that makes me feel like, okay, well, now I'm not doing anything at all. There's no progression coming if I'm just sitting and waiting.
Yep.
And so how do I try to do that without trying to take control,
Yeah.
without trying to take it into my own hands and not giving it to God?
Yeah.
Because in that sitting and waiting, it feels like I'm wasting time. It feels like I'm losing
Yeah.
it. Like,
Definitely
what
can.
do I do with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it can definitely feel like that. That just comes down to like, where it talks about like be anxious for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and in all your ways acknowledge God, but instead pray about everything.
Yeah.
And during those times where like you feel like you're being stagnant and not moving, not progressing, going anywhere, you don't know the types of traps or the type of things that was already predestined for you to go through that God is trying to block us from.
Yeah.
So in those times, it could feel like we're not moving, we're not going anywhere, but God is saving us from so much heartache, so much pain, different things that he doesn't even want us to go through.
Yeah.
So he's going to let that pass over first, and then he's going to bring you into the next season. So it just goes back to trust, basically.
One of the things I find myself praying for a lot as I'm going through this is wisdom. Is praying for wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's good.
even if I don't have the direction, I don't know exactly which way to go to achieve what it is that I believe God has for me.
Right.
I'm just praying for wisdom. Like, God, just put those things in front of me that you want me to know, that I need to know,
Right.
to not only get what it is that I believe that you have for me, but to also be a good steward over it once it comes. Because I just feel like if I don't have the actual wisdom or knowledge that I need, even if I got it right now, would I know what to do with it?
Yeah.
Would I know how to handle it? Would I be a good steward over it, to be able to multiply it, to be able to turn it into? So I just
That's
find myself
good.
praying for a lot of wisdom these
That's
days,
good.
and just trying to be content with that for now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Seriously, I think that's something we all need to pray for. But another thing, like being good steward over something. God is not going to give you something if he already knows you don't even take care of what you have now.
Exactly.
So what makes you think I'm going to bless you with something else?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that reminds
yeah.
me of a Deion Sanders quote when he was talking about the types of coaches that he hires, and he was like, well, like, I'm not going to hire a deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to tell me that you're going to come take care of these 50, 60
Yeah.
Right,
kids
yeah.
and you don't even take care of your own?
That's real.
Like, there's no way that you can convince me that you are going to assume the responsibility the right way.
Shots have been fired.
Straight up.
Seriously.
It's the
Yeah.
truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody out there, try to find your peace. If you have some practical ways that you seek peace or find peace, or some scriptures, make sure you comment them. Let us know. We want to hear about your peace as well. Help us out.
Yeah.
We
How
ready
did
for
you
it?
guys resolve things?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Maybe y'all got the answers.
Bro, let us know.
We ready for SOS?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Who went first last time?
I think you did. Yeah.
You got it. You got it first today.
All right.
All right, let me pull up a timer.
That made my heart race
You
real
got a
quick.
topic for her, or you want me to give her a topic?
Let's see. You give her one.
Okay. Let me pull up the
Alvin, don't do nothing crazy.
your topic for
Shea
today.
moisture.
Your topic for today is dirt. Go.
So what I would say is God starts everything with dirt. And in the end, he also starts to give us, his children, the resources to make something beautiful from that dirt. And that could be like us planting seeds, and then we're watering it, making something, building something up for his glory. So he can start everything off with just nothing. But then he gives us the authority to use the tools, use the resources that I have given you in your hands, and build something from scratch. I'm giving you dominion over something. So build everything that I'm giving you. Start from absolutely nothing and build it up in my name. And I'll teach you. I'm already supplying you with the resources to build everything from that dirt. So that's really what I would say.
You only have 4 seconds left.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
It's so close.
All right. What's mine?
I'll set a timer on mine. Let's do stars.
Wait, stars?
Stars. Yeah.
Stars.
Like the stars in the sky.
Got it.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Go.
When I think of stars, the biggest star I think of is the sun, which is crazy because the sun in our solar system is actually not the biggest star in the universe. But anyway, I think of stars and I think of how all the planets revolve around the sun. And the sun provides warmth to all the planets. And I like to think of the sun like the Son of God and how we all revolve around the Son of God and how he provides us with a light and a warmth in this world. And without him, we would be cold and barren. We would bear no fruit. And I think of the scripture that says, abide in me and I in you. And that's how I see the planets revolving around the sun. They are abiding in one another as they revolve. So you need that warmth from that star. The star has to be the center of your universe. Without that star, you have no gravity. Without that star, you will stray away. You won't be pulled in. So you have to stay in that Goldilocks zone and be close enough, but not too far away.
Oh my gosh. That boy's spitting.
It was only 1 minute and 76.
Okay.
Oh man.
That was tough.
Then I gotta follow that up. Like, what are you? All right, man. This is a setup. I should have went first.
Throw some that you can too.
That's wild.
All
All
right.
right.
Let me see. I got something for you.
All right.
Your topic is ants.
Ants.
Go.
All right. So everyone knows what an ant is. Everyone knows that ants all move in colonies. But the most important thing about an ant, it is a worker. All right. And so when we think about our lives and the role that we play, at the end of the day, we're all just worker ants for our Lord and Savior. Now, that is also something that needs to be followed up with action, and that's all an ant does. Okay? They move better in unison. If you see one ant by itself, there's a high likelihood that you step on that ant. But when those ants are all moving together, all of a sudden they can pick up things that they scientifically should not be able to pick up. They can move things and create tunnels and create homes. They can do things empowered together through, well, nah, that didn't work. But basically, they all move better in unison. And that unison is our God.
Boom. Way to finish strong.
They all move better with God. Ants, give your life to Christ.
That was good. That was good.
Good job, guys.
Man.
So peace. That was our episode on peace. We hope you enjoyed that episode. We got some more good ones for you coming this season about some other emotions. If there are any emotions that you want us to cover in the future, just let us know. But until then, this is Calvin signing off.
Erica.
And Roberts.
And we will
Nice
see
seeing
you
ya.
on the next one.
Peace.